So hey guys, this is your favorite fictional vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the reincarnation of the first Saiyan sage Naruto x Vados x Caulifla, Dragon Ball Super. But before we start, remember to subscribe and like this video. Now let's start. Chapter 1. Dimensional Tremors. The Valley of the End stood silent. Scars of battle etched across ancient stone faces. 3 days had passed since Naruto and Sasuke's final confrontation, a clash that had shaken the foundations of their world in ways none yet understood. The waterfall resumed its eternal descent, indifferent to the momentous events witnessed by the colossal statues flanking its path. Naruto Uzumaki sat cross-legged atop the Hokage monument, golden rays of dawn washing over his bandaged form. His right arm, recently fitted with a prosthetic fashioned from Hashirama's cells, tingled with unfamiliar sensations. Wind tousled his blonde hair as azure eyes gazed across the village being rebuilt after Pain's devastation in the Fourth Shinobi War. Something felt different, wrong, or perhaps not wrong, just altered, as though the fabric of real ity had been stretched thin during his battle with Sasuke and never quite returned to normal. You feel it too, Naruto whispered to Kurama, addressing the fox within him. Something's changed. The nine tails stirred within their shared consciousness. Your chakra fluctuates strangely. It's been happening since that final clash of powers. Naruto closed his eyes, diving into his mindscape where Kurama resided. The vast chamber had evolved since their partnership solidified, no longer resembling a sewer but a tranquil space with hints of both forest and cosmos, a change neither had consciously created. What's happening to me? Naruto asked, approaching the massive fox. It's like something's awakening. Kurama's crimson eyes narrowed. Your body is changing on a fundamental level. I sense energies I've never encountered before, even in my thousands of years of existence. The young shinobi examined his hands within the mindscape, hands that momentarily seemed to glow a bluish-white aura unlike chakra's usual appearance. Could it be some side effect of receiving Sage of Six Paths power? No, Kurama rumbled thoughtfully. This feels older, more primal, as if it's coming from your very blood rather than any external source. Their conversation was interrupted by a sharp pain lancing through Naruto's temples. He gasped, doubling over as images flooded his consciousness. Strange planets with crimson skies, beings moving so fast they left afterimages, transformations that turned hair gold then blue, power that could shatter moons. Reality reasserted itself as Naruto felt a gentle hand on his shoulder. Naruto-kun, are you all right? Hinata Hyuga's concerned voice drew him back to the present. He blinked, finding her pearl eyes studying him with worry. Hinata, sorry, I was just meditating, I guess. Her expression remained troubled. Your chakra just flickered strangely. I saw it from across the village. Naruto straightened, realizing the sun had risen fully during his internal conversation. You could see that from so far away. I've been practicing extending my Byakugan's range, she explained, a hint of pride in her voice. But that's not important right now. Your chakra network, it's changing. Hinata activated her Byakugan, veins bulging around her eyes. Her gasp confirmed something was indeed different. There are new pathways forming, she whispered, intertwining with your existing chakra network but distinct somehow. And at certain points, her voice faltered. They're what? Naruto prompted. They're connecting to stars in your cells I've never seen before. She deactivated her Byakugan, confusion evident. It's as if your body contains an entirely different energy system trying to activate alongside your chakra network. Quote, Naruto's brow furrowed. Before he could respond, a distant rumbling shook the village. Both shinobi turned toward the forest beyond Konoha's gates, where an unnatural auroral light pulsed between trees. That can't be good, Naruto muttered, rising to his feet. I should alert the Hokage, Hinata began. No time, Naruto interrupted, surprising himself with the certainty in his voice. Whatever that is, it's looking for me. I can feel it. Without further explanation, he leapt from the monument, golden chakra flaring around him as he activated Six Paths Sage mode instinctively. The strange energy he'd been feeling surged alongside his familiar power, creating an unusual harmonic resonance that left a trail of golden blue light as he sped toward the disturbance. Hinata hesitated only momentarily before following, her improved speed allowing her to track Naruto's blazing form. The forest clearing where Naruto landed appeared torn, not physically damaged, but as though reality itself had suffered a wound. The air rippled like heat waves above desert sand, colors shifting unnaturally as a vertical fissure of brilliant light pulsed rhythmically. "What is this?" Naruto whispered, approaching cautiously. The strange energy within him responded to the phenomenon, pulling him forward while simultaneously setting every battle instinct on high alert. "Be careful, Naruto," Kurama warned. "That tear doesn't exist solely in our dimension. I sense something immense on the other side." The fissure suddenly expanded with a sound like shattering glass, forcing Naruto back. Wind whipped violently around the clearing as the tear widened to human height. Through it appeared a silhouette, tall, slender, and unmistakably feminine. Stepping through with the grace of nobility, the figure that emerged defied Naruto's understanding of power. Teal skin contrasted with pristine white hair arranged in an elaborate updo. She wore elegant robes with a high collar, carrying a long staff topped with a floating orb. Her eyes, sharp and ancient, held wisdom beyond mortal comprehension. What struck Naruto most wasn't her unusual appearance but the absolute control she exuded. Her power, utterly different from chakra, radiated in perfectly contained waves, suggesting capabilities far beyond even what he had witnessed from Kagaya Otsutsuki. "Fascinating," the woman spoke, her voice melodious yet commanding. "The energy signature is indeed identical, yet manifested through an entirely different system." Naruto positioned himself defensively. "Who are you, and what do you want?" The woman regarded him with calculating interest. "My name is Vados, angel attendant to the god of destruction of Universe 6. She tilted her head slightly. "Though I suspect those titles mean nothing in this pocket dimension." "Universe 6? Naruto questioned, maintaining his stance while processing her words. "Pocket dimension. Your entire reality exists in a space between what we call Universe 6 and Universe 7, Vados explained casually, as if discussing whether rather than shattering someone's conception of existence. Created long ago, by the first Saiyan sage as a sanctuary for his experiments in energy manipulation. The term, Saiyan, triggered another flash of images in Naruto's mind, a proud warrior race, transformed by moonlight, battles that could destroy planets. Hinata arrived at the clearing, immediately moving to Naruto's side. "Naruto-kun, who is she?" Before he could answer, Vados turned her attention to Hinata, Street. AFF tapping thoughtfully against her palm. "A Hyuga, if I'm not mistaken. Your visual prowess resembles techniques described in the sage's records." The dimensional tear suddenly pulsed violently, expanding outward. Trees nearest the fissure began to warp, their matter distorting as reality itself became unstable. "This is unexpected," Vados remarked with mild concern. "The barrier is becoming increasingly unstable. Perhaps my crossing triggered a cascade effect." Naruto felt a surge of energy unlike anything he'd experienced, not the warm flow of chakra or the burning power of Kurama, but omething primal that seemed to ignite every cell in his body simultaneously. Pain lanced through him as foreign knowledge flooded his consciousness. "The rift needs to be stabilized," he heard himself say. Words forming from knowledge he shouldn't possess. "The dimensional frequency needs to be harmonized." Vados raised an elegant eyebrow. "You understand dimensional mechanics. Perhaps the sage's memories are indeed awakening within you." Naruto stepped forward, instinct guiding his movements. His hands formed unfamiliar positions, not shinobi seals, but geometric configurations that seemed to channel the strange energy flowing through him. "Naruto-kun, what are you doing?" Hinata's voice sounded distant as concentration consumed him. "Temporal stabilization technique," he announced, the name appearing in his mind unbidden. Blue-white energy, not chakra, emanated from his palms, surrounding the dimensional tear. Instead of forcing it closed, the energy synchronized with the rift's pulsations, gradually bringing them into a stable rhythm. Vados observed with unmistakable interest. "A perfect execution of a high-level key manipulation technique. And you've never been trained in its use?" Naruto couldn't answer, focusing entirely on maintaining the stabilization. Sweat beaded on his forehead as the unfamiliar energy, she had called it, drained him far more quickly than chakra would have. The rift slowly contracted, edges smoothing as it reduced to a stable oval portal rather than a jagged tear. When he finally released the technique, Naruto staggered backward, catching himself before he fell. The strange energy receded, leaving him disoriented. What did I just do? He panted, staring at his hands in confusion. Vados approached, studying him with newfound respect. You channeled pure ki through a body evolved for chakra manipulation, then executed a technique you've never been taught. Her lips curved into a slight smile. Most impressive, even for a Saiyan reincarnation. Saiyan reincarnation, Naruto repeated. What are you talking about? Before Vados could answer, multiple chakra signatures approached rapidly, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and several Anbu responding to the disturbance. I believe we have much to discuss, Vados stated calmly, preferably with your leaders present. The multiverse has reached a critical juncture, and you, Naruto Uzumaki, appear to be at its center. The Hokage's office buzzed with tension as Kakashi Hatake, still adjusting to his role as sixth Hokage, assessed the extraordinary visitor and the implications of her arrival. Shikamaru Nara stood beside his desk, expression calculating as he analyzed every word of Vados's explanation. Let me ensure I understand correctly, Kakashi said, visible eye narrowed thoughtfully. You're claiming our entire world exists in a pocket dimension created by an ancient being from another universe, and Naruto is somehow the reincarnation of this being. Vados nodded serenely. The first Saiyan sage was a visionary who discovered the relationship between ki, the life energy used in most universes, and what you call chakra. This dimension was created as a Control-A-D environment to develop and study that relationship. And what exactly is a Saiyan? Shikamaru questioned. A powerful warrior race from Universe 7, known for their battle prowess and unique transformative abilities, Vados explained. The first sage was exceptional even among them, more philosopher than conqueror, seeking understanding rather than dominance. Naruto listened intently, the strange energy within him responding to each mention of Saiyans. But why would I be his reincarnation? I'm just the child of prophecy who ended a world war and saved all of reality from an alien goddess. Kakashi interjected dryly. Nothing special at all. Vados tapped her staff against the floor, causing a three-dimensional projection to appear above them, a map of swirling galaxies and universes arranged in pairs. The multiverse consists of 12 universes, arranged as twin pairs, she explained. When the first sage died, his soul was meant to reincarnate in Universe 7. However, the unique properties of this pocket dimension, existing between universes 6 and 7, created what we might call a cosmic detour. She gestured toward Naruto. Add to this the unusual circumstances of your birth, sealed with an immensely powerful entity, descended from the Uzumaki clan whose life force was already remarkable, and you became the perfect vessel for the sage's reincarnated soul. Naruto frowned, crossing his arms. If that's true, why am I only feeling these changes now? Why not when I was a kid? An excellent question, Vados acknowledged. The dimensional barriers between LDS have been weakening since what you call the Fourth Shinobi War. The collision of primordial energies during your battle with Sasuke Uchiha appears to have created resonance patterns that accelerated this deterioration. She turned to face the window, gazing across Konoha. Additionally, your recent mastery of Six Paths Sage Mode created internal conditions that activated dormant Saiyan genetic memory. You've reached a threshold where both aspects of your heritage can finally merge. Shikamaru sighed heavily. This is beyond troublesome. You're suggesting our entire world might be affected by these weakening barriers. Precisely, Vados confirmed. Unless properly managed, these dimensional rifts will continue to appear with increasing frequency and severity. Reality itself could become unstable. And you believe Naruto is key to preventing this? Kakashi asked. As the Saiyan sage reincarnated, he possesses unique potential to harmonize ki and chakra in ways that could stabilize the dimensional boundaries. Vados turned back to Naruto. But this would require training in abilities you've never used before. Naruto stood, determination evident in his posture. If I need to learn this key stuff to protect everyone, then teach me. It's not that simple, Vados cautioned. Your body is currently undergoing transformation as dormant Saiyan traits activate. This process can be volatile. As if summoned by her words, pain shot through Naruto's body. He doubled over, gasping as burning sensation spread from his core to his extremities. Alarmed shouts faded to bag, round noise as his consciousness turned inward. Within his mindscape, Kurama roared in surprise as golden energy began intertwining with the Nine Tails chakra. Naruto, your DNA is restructuring itself. The fox's tails lashed anxiously. Whatever this Saiyan heritage is, it's asserting itself forcefully now. Outside, those present watched in astonishment as Naruto's muscles densed subtly, his posture shifting almost imperceptibly. The whisker marks on his cheeks deepened momentarily before returning to normal, and for just an instant, his normally blue eyes flashed teal. Vados moved with blinding speed, tapping her staff gently against Naruto's chest. Cool energy spread through him, easing the painful transformation. The awakening must be properly managed, she stated, helping him stand. Uncontrolled, it could tear your body apart as two different evolutionary paths attempt dominance. Naruto straightened, feeling simultaneously stronger and more unstable than ever before. Then help me control it. Vados studied him thoughtfully. I was sent merely to investigate anomalous energy readings. Teaching a half-awakened Saiyan reincarnation goes beyond my mandate. But you're considering it anyway. Shikamaru observed shrewdly. Why? A ghost of a smile touched Vados's lips. Curiosity, perhaps. The first Saiyan sage's work was revolutionary. To see how his theories manifest in his reincarnation could prove illuminating. Before further discussion could occur, a young Anbu burst through the door, protocol forgotten in urgency. Hokage-sama, multiple energy disturbances have appeared around the village perimeter. They're similar to the first anomaly but spreading rapidly. Kakashi rose immediately. Coordinate evacuation protocols. Shikamaru, organize response teams to each location. That won't be sufficient, Vados warned. These are dimensional rifts. Conventional chakra techniques will only exacerbate the instability. All eyes turned to Naruto, who straightened with resolution. I stabilized one before. I can do it again. In your current transitional state, attempting multiple stabilizations could accelerate your transformation unpredictably, Vados cautioned. Naruto met her gaze unflinchingly. People are in danger. I won't stand by when I can help. Something in his expression seemed to resonate with Vados. She inclined her head slightly. Very well, I will assist you. Consider it the beginning of your education in key manipulation. The forest north of Konoha twisted unnaturally around a pulsing tear in reality. Trees bent at impossible angles, their matter distorting as dimensional barriers weakened. A squad of Jonin maintained a perimeter, preventing civilians from approaching the dangerous phenomenon. Naruto arrived with Vados, their journey facilitated by her instantaneous movement technique that had left him momentarily disoriented. That was faster than the flying Raijin, he remarked, impressed despite the dire circumstances. Movement through folded space, Vados explained casually. One of many techniques you'll learn if you survive your awakening. The dimensional rift before them was larger than the first. Its edges jagged and unstable. Through it, Naruto glimpsed unfamiliar landscapes, purple skies, floating islands, and creatures unlike any in the shinobi world. What am I seeing? He asked, approaching cautiously. Fragments of Universe 6, Vados replied. This rift connects directly to my universe rather than neutral dimensional space. A sudden pulse from the tear sent several Jonin flying backward. Naruto instinctively caught two with his chakra arms, setting them down safely. Get everyone back, he ordered, authority natural in his voice. At least 500 meters. The squad leader nodded, recognizing the command of a hero who had saved the world. As shinobi retreated, Naruto turned to Vados. Guide me through this properly. Last time was instinct. This time I need to understand what I'm doing. Vados raised an appreciative eyebrow at his approach. Very well. Key manipulation differs from chakra in fundamental ways. While chakra blends physical and spiritual energies within established pathways, ki flows through every living cell independently. She demonstrated, creating a perfect sphere of blue-white energy above her palm without hand seals or visible effort. Precision comes from mental discipline rather than physical conduits. Naruto concentrated, reaching for the unfamiliar energy he'd accessed earlier. It responded sluggishly at first, then surged forward almost too eagerly, manifesting as erratic flickers around his hands. Control your emotions, Vados instructed. Saiyan's ki responds strongly to emotional states, particularly anger or determination. Channel your focus into visualization. Imagine the energy as an extension of your will. Naruto closed his eyes, drawing upon years of experience controlling immense chakra reserves. Gradually, the wild energy coalesced into a more stable aura around his hands. Now, for dimensional stabilization, Vados continued, you must harmonize your energy with the rift's frequency. Sense its vibration pattern. Each dimensional tear has a unique signature. Naruto extended his senses toward the rift, suddenly perceiving oscillations he couldn't have detected before. The tear wasn't simply a hole in space but a complex pattern of dimensional frequencies clashing discordantly. I can feel it, he murmured, surprised. It's like music that's out of tune. An apt analogy, Vados approved. Now adjust your ki to create counter-harmonics that will gradually bring those frequencies into alignment. Naruto positioned himself before the rift, hands extended. Drawing upon both instinct and Vados' guidance, he projected his ki in precise patterns matching the tear's chaotic rhythm, then slowly shifted toward stability. The process demanded unprecedented concentration. Unlike chakra manipulation, which followed established pathways, this required continuous adjustment and perfect control. Sweat beaded on his brow as muscles he'd never used before strained to channel unfamiliar energy. Your technique is unrefined but effective, Vados observed. The sage's intuitive understanding flows through you, even without formal training. The rift began responding, its violent fluctuations moderating as Naruto's ki guided it toward equilibrium. The distorted space around it gradually normalized, trees straightening as reality reasserted itself. Just as success seemed imminent, a savage pulse erupted from the tear, not random instability but something deliberate. The backlash struck Naruto directly, sending him skidding backward. Something pushed back, he exclaimed, regaining his footing. Something alive. Vados' expression sharpened with concern. That shouldn't be possible unless. She moved forward, staff raised defensively. Something is using dimensional instability intentionally. The rift pulsed again, expanding violently. From its depths emerged a creature that defied conventional description, a writhing mass of tentacles and eyes rounding a crystalline core that radiated malevolent purpose. A dimensional parasite, Vados identified, voice hardening. They feed on reality distortions and can manipulate dimensional barriers once they find a weakness. The creature lashed out with surprising speed, tentacles stretching toward Naruto. He dodged instinctively, body moving faster than his mind registered. A counterattack Rasengan passed harmlessly through the entity's semi-corporeal form. Physical attacks are ineffective, Vados called out. It exists partially in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Then what works against it? Naruto demanded, narrowly avoiding another strike. Energy that can bridge dimensional barriers, she replied, demonstrating by firing a precise beam from her staff that severed one writhing appendage. Your six paths sage mode might prove effective. Naruto activated the golden form, chakra flaring brilliantly. The creature recoiled momentarily before renewing its assault with greater ferocity. Truth-seeking orbs responded to Naruto's will, forming a defensive barrier that the parasite couldn't penetrate. It's strong against chakra too, Naruto observed, strategizing rapidly. But maybe, acting on intuition, he attempted something unprecedented, channeling his newly awakening ki through his truth-seeking orbs. The result was immediate and dramatic. The black sphere res took on a purplish-blue luminescence as dual energies merged. When next he launched an attack, the enhanced orb tore through the parasite's defenses, disrupting its dimensional phasing. The Ur shrieked, a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Remarkable, Vados commented, genuine surprise in her tone. You've created a hybrid energy form capable of affecting trans-dimensional entities. Emboldened, Naruto pressed his advantage. Six paths chakra provided shape and structure while newly awakened ki supplied dimensional penetration. Each strike destabilized the parasite further until finally, he compressed the combined energies into a modified Rasengan unlike any he'd created before. Dimensional severing Rasengan, he called out, driving the swirling orb into the creature's crystalline core. The parasite convulsed as the attack disrupted its entire existence, collapsing in upon itself until nothing remained but rapidly dissipating energy. The effort left Naruto gasping, unfamiliar muscle groups trembling from exertion. The dimensional rift, no longer maintained by the parasite's influence, began closing naturally. Your adaptability is impressive, Vados acknowledged, approaching as Naruto deactivated Six Paths Sage mode. Few beings could synthesize different energy systems so effectively on their first attempt. Naruto straightened, a grin forming despite his exhaustion. I've always been a quick study when it comes to new techniques. Indeed, though I suspect the sage's memories assisted considerably. Vados gestured toward D2 more light pillars visible in the distance. There are still more rifts requiring attention. Before they could depart, Naruto clutched his head suddenly, another wave of foreign memories surging through his consciousness. Visions of battle techniques, transformation methods, and energy manipulation principles overwhelmed him. Vados observed with analytical interest. The stress of combat has accelerated your awakening. Your mind is being flooded with the sage's knowledge. When the episode passed, Naruto looked up with renewed determination. I saw something, a technique for large-scale dimensional stabilization. The cosmic harmonic, Vados questioned, surprised. That technique requires mastery over both key and dimensional frequency manipulation. Even the original sage considered it his most advanced creation. Naruto nodded, but I think I can do it. Not alone, though. He glanced toward Konoha. I'll need help focusing while I maintain the technique. The Hokage M. Oniment provided the perfect vantage point overlooking Konoha and surrounding forests where multiple rifts now pulsed ominously. Naruto stood at its peak, joined by those he'd summoned, Hinata, Sakura, Shikamaru, and Kakashi. Vados had briefly departed to consult relevant authorities about the escalating situation, promising to return shortly. In her absence, Naruto explained what needed to be done. This technique will create a resonance field stabilizing all the rifts simultaneously, he told them, but it requires perfect concentration. Any disruption could make things worse. So where do we come in? Sakura asked, medical training making her particularly attentive to Naruto's subtly changing physiology. I need you to channel chakra into me in specific patterns, he explained. The technique uses both energies. But I can't regulate both simultaneously yet. Shikamaru frowned thoughtfully. You're basically asking us to act as chakra conduits while you handle this, key energy. Exactly. Naruto positioned them in a square formation around him. Hinata, your gentle fist precision will regulate the flow. Sakura, your perfect chakra control will provide stability. Kakashi-sensei, your experience with multiple chakra natures will help harmonize everything. And Shikamaru, your analytical mind will detect and correct any imbalances. His friends exchanged impressed CES at the uncharacteristically detailed strategy. When did you become so knowledgeable about chakra theory? Kakashi wondered aloud. Naruto's expression turned momentarily distant. It's like I've studied this for lifetimes. He shook his head, refocusing. Let's begin before more parasites emerge. They took positions as Naruto knelt at the center, closing his eyes in concentration. His friends placed their hands on his shoulders. Channeling chakra as directed, the energy flowed into Naruto, where it met the rising tide of ki building within him. The sensation was unlike anything he'd experienced. Chakra's familiar warmth intertwining with ki's electric vitality. Where the energies met, new pathways formed, creating bridges between systems that had evolved separately for millennia. Keep it steady, Naruto instructed, voice deepening slightly as he drew upon knowledge not his own. I'm beginning the harmonic projection. He extended his consciousness outward, perceiving each dimensional rift as a discordant note in reality's fabric. His combined energy extended in invisible waves, gradually imposing harmonic patterns that countered the chaos. The effort was immense. Sweat poured down his face as muscles bulged with strain. Within his mindscape, Kurama provided additional support, the Nine Tails chakra acting as a stabilizing framework for the unprecedented technique. Your body is changing faster now, Kurama warned. This technique is accelerating the awakening. No choice, Naruto gritted through clenched teeth. Have to finish. His companions gasped. As visible changes manifested, his hair spiking more dramatically, muscle density increasing perceptibly. For brief moments, Golden flickers ran through his normally blonde locks. Naruto, you need to slow down, Sakura cautioned. Medical instincts alarmed by the physiological changes. Your cellular structure is altering too rapidly. Almost. Done, he managed, pushing through mounting pain. Across Konoha, citizens watched in awe as dimensional tears began resonating in unison, their chaotic energies gradually synchronizing under Naruto's influence. The distortions that had warped reality around them smoothed progressively, stability returning to affected areas. Just as the technique neared completion, a fresh wave of agony tore through Naruto. His back arched as power surged uncontrollably through newly forming pathways. The fragile balance between chakra and ki threatened to collapse entirely. Something's wrong, Hinata cried, Byakugan active. His energy systems are fighting each other. Shikamaru's mind raced. It's like an autoimmune response. His chakra network is rejecting the new ki system. We need to harmonize them, Kakashi realized. Everyone, shift your chakra frequency to match what you're feeling from him. They adjusted immediately, years of teamwork allowing seamless coordination. Their chakra subtly changed quality, becoming more resonant with the wild ki surging through Naruto's transforming body. The crisis point passed as energies stabilized, allowing Naruto to complete the technique. A final pulse of harmonized power spread outward, too, ooching each dimensional tear and bringing it into perfect resonance before the rifts closed completely. As the last rift sealed, Naruto collapsed forward, consciousness fading. His friends caught him, lowering him gently to the ground. His pulse is erratic, Sakura reported worriedly, hands glowing with diagnostic jutsu. It's like his entire physiological system is reorganizing itself. What do we do? Hinata asked, fear evident in her voice. A familiar voice answered from behind them. Allow me to assist. Vados had returned, accompanied by a shorter, corpulent purple-skinned being dressed in elaborate clothing that marked him as someone of importance. This is Lord Champa, god of destruction of Universe 6, Vados introduced calmly, ignoring the shocked expressions her companion elicited. He has graciously agreed to observe our dimensional situation personally. Champa sniffed dismissively. Only because you wouldn't stop pestering me about potential catastrophic multiversal collapse. His attention shifted to Naruto's prone form, eyes narrowing. So this is the Saiyan reincarnation. Doesn't look like much. He just stabilized 7-dimensional rifts simultaneously in a technique even the original sage considered nearly impossible, Vados pointed out. All while undergoing physiological transformation. HMPH. Champa seemed marginally impressed. Fine, stand back. The shinobi hesitated, protective of their friend. I recommend compliance, Vados suggested. Lord Champa, despite appearances, possesses knowledge of energy systems that predates your civilization. Reluctantly, they created space. Champa approached Naruto, placing a pudgy purple hand on the young man's chest. Destructive energy, fundamentally different from either chakra or ki, briefly surrounded his palm before transforming into something more balanced. His systems are fighting each other because they evolved separately, Champa explained gruffly. Needs calibration. Energy flow. Wed from the god of destruction into Naruto, not adding power but instead creating pathways between existing systems. Where chaos had reigned, order gradually emerged. When Champa removed his hand, Naruto's breathing had steadied. His features relaxed. There. Should stabilize his transformation. Slower now, more controlled. You have our gratitude, Kakashi stated diplomatically, still processing the existence of deities from other universes. Champa straightened his clothing importantly. Yes, well, can't have dimensional collapse ruining my schedule. Vados, explain the situation to them properly. I'm going to sample their local cuisine. Before anyone could respond, the god of destruction vanished in a burst of speed that left even Kakashi wide-eyed. Is he always like that? Shikamaru asked Vados. Lord Champa has his peculiarities, she acknowledged with dignified understatement. However, his intervention has likely saved your friend's life. The competing evolutionary path, AYS, would eventually have torn him apart without proper integration. Naruto stirred, eyes fluttering open. When they focused, the blue irises now contained subtle flecks of teal that hadn't been there before. What happened? He asked groggily. You succeeded, Hinata told him gently, helping him sit up. All the rifts are closed. And you've survived the first major phase of your awakening, Vados added. Though many changes still await you. Naruto took stock of himself, noting unfamiliar strength in his muscles and heightened senses that made even the distant sounds of the village crystal clear. I feel different, stronger, but strange. Your Saiyan heritage is asserting itself, Vados explained. The process has been temporarily stabilized, but will continue gradually now. So what happens next? Sakura asked. Medical curiosity piqued despite her concern. Vados gestured toward the sky, where the faintest shimmer of auroral energy still lingered. The dimensional barriers have been temporarily reinforced, but the underlying instability remains. Without permanent solutions, rifts will eventually return, likely stronger and more numerous. And these parasites? Kakashi inquired. Will we face more of them? Almost certainly, Vados confirmed. Once dimensional parasites locate a weakened reality barrier, they return in greater numbers. Today's incursion was merely a scout. Naruto stood, determination evident despite lingering disorientation. Then I need to master these new abilities quickly. Vados regarded him thoughtfully. The question is there you wish to pursue this training in your world or mine? Universe 6 contains resources and instructors who understand Saiyan biology and ki manipulation. I can't just leave, Naruto protested. My village needs me, especially with these dimensional threats. A fair concern, Vados acknowledged. Perhaps a compromise. I could remain here temporarily while Lord Champa. She glanced toward Konoha, where distant shouts suggested the god of destruction had located a restaurant. Explores your world. Meanwhile, I can begin your basic training in ki manipulation. Shikamaru's tactical mind immediately assessed implications. Having you here would also help us understand these dimensional mechanics better. We need to prepare our own defenses against these rifts. And I'd like to study how chakra and ki interact. Sakura added. If Naruto's body is creating new pathways between them, the medical implications could be revolutionary. Vados inclined her head. I find myself uncharacteristically curious about your civilization as well. The first Saiyan sage's records spoke highly of this dimension's potential. Naruto grinned, despite the day's trials. Then it's settled. Dimensional crisis, ancient reincarnation, and crazy parasites. Just another day in the life of Naruto Uzumaki. His light-hearted comment drew smiles from his friends, breaking tension that had built throughout the extraordinary day. Yet as they began descending from the monument, Naruto cast one last glance skyward, where stars were just becoming visible in the twilight. For the first time in his life, he felt a peculiar longing, as though part of him recognized those distant lights as home. Whatever awaited him in the days ahead, he sensed his understanding of self and world would never be the same again. Behind him, Vados observed his momentary stargazing with knowing eyes. The first Saiyan sage's legacy was awakening more completely than even she had anticipated. The multiverse itself would soon feel the repercussions of what had begun this day. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, Legacy Awakening. Dawn painted Konoha in shades of amber and gold, the village stirring to life under the gentle caress of morning light. 3 weeks had passed since the dimensional rifts had threatened reality itself, 3 weeks of relative calm that felt more like borrowed time than genuine peace. Atop the Hokage Tower's roof garden, Naruto sat cross-legged opposite Vados, palms upturned and eyes closed in concentration. Beads of sweat trickled down his temples as he struggled to manifest pure ki without chakra's familiar framework. The morning air hung still around them, as if nature itself observed their efforts with curious anticipation. You're still forcing it, Vados observed, her melodic voice carrying gentle correction. Ki doesn't respond to command as chakra does, it flows from intuitive understanding rather than structured pathways. Naruto exhaled slowly, frustration evident in the tight set of his shoulders. I've spent my entire life channeling chakra one way. Breaking those habits isn't easy. Indeed. Vados tapped her staff lightly against the stone tiles. Perhaps we're approaching this incorrectly. Instead of separating the energies, try feeling how they naturally connect within you. Naruto adjusted his posture, the morning sunlight catching the subtle teal flecks that now permanently resided in his blue eyes. His physique had changed over the past weeks, lean muscle more defined, posture unconsciously straighter, movements carrying graceful efficiency that hadn't existed before. Focus on the cellular level, Vados instructed. Chakra flows through established networks, while ki emanates from each living cell independently. Naruto directed his awareness inward, perceiving the familiar rush of chakra through coils and pathways. Beneath that system, he sensed something more fundamental, a quieter energy vibrating within the very building blocks of his being. There, he whispered, latching onto the sensation. It's like a constant hum beneath everything else. That's it, Vados confirmed, rare approval warming her tone. Now draw upon that energy without disrupting your chakra flow. Quote, Naruto extended his right hand, brow furrowed in concentration. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. Then, gradually, a small sphere of bluish-white RGY coalesced above his palm. Not the swirling density of Rasengan, but something more primal and unrefined. I did it. His excitement nearly disrupted the manifestation before he steadied himself. Vados observed with analytical precision. Unrefined but functional, your ki has distinctive qualities, likely influenced by your unique dual nature. The sphere wobbled as Naruto maintained it for 30 seconds before dissipating. He lowered his hand, satisfaction mingling with exhaustion. It's completely different from chakra, he noted, flexing fingers that tingled with residual energy. More raw somehow. Chakra represents a specialized evolutionary adaptation, Vados explained, rising gracefully. The first Saiyan sage theorized that this pocket dimension's isolation allowed energy manipulation to develop along pathways that maximized efficiency within constrained parameters. Ki, by contrast, connects directly to the fundamental energies of creation. Naruto stood, stretching, muscles sore from maintaining perfect stillness. You keep mentioning the first Saiyan sage, but I still don't understand who he really was or why I'm his reincarnation. Vados's expression shifted, subtly, the closest she came to displaying genuine emotion. Walk with me. This explanation benefits from movement. They descended from the tower, proceeding through Konoha's gradually awakening streets. Shopkeepers arranging morning displays bowed respectfully to Naruto while regarding his teal-skinned companion with fascinated curiosity. 3 weeks had not diminished the village's wonder at their otherworldly visitor. The being you call the Sage of Six Paths wasn't the first to discover chakra, Vados began once they reached a quieter avenue lined with cherry trees. Hagoromo Otsutsuki refined and disseminated chakra techniques, but the fundamental understanding of energy manipulation originated with the first Saiyan sage approximately 12,000 years ago, by your calendar. Naruto's eyes widened. 12,000 years. That's long before any history we have. Indeed, the Saiyan sage arrived in this dimensional pocket during what he called his wandering period, a time when he sought understanding beyond the battlefield glory typical of Saiyan culture. So Saiyans are warriors? Naruto asked, recalling fragments from his increasingly frequent memory flashes. By nature and nurture, Vados confirmed. A physically powerful species with natural aptitude for combat and unique transformative abilities that multiply their strength. Their civilization in Universe 7 developed along martial lines, valuing battle prowess above all else. But this sage was different. Profoundly so. While unmatched in combat, he sought meaning beyond victory. His travels took him across multiple universes and dimensions, studying energy manifestations throughout reality. They passed the academy, where young students practiced morning exercises in the yard. Naruto paused, watching their familiar chakra control drills with new perspective. When the sage discovered this pocket dimension, Vados continued, he found something unprecedented, a self-contained reality where energy naturally channeled through physical vessels in structured patterns. What would eventually become chakra? And he stayed to study it. More than study, he became its guardian and architect. Vados gestured broadly at their surroundings. This dimension was unstable when he discovered it, a fragment of reality that had broken off during the creation of universes 6 and 7. He stabilized it, using techniques that merged his understanding of ki with the native energy patterns, essentially becoming this world's first protector. Naruto absorbed this, connecting pieces of history he'd never known existed. So before Kagaya, before the divine tree and the Sage of Six Paths, there was a foundation established by the Saiyan sage, Vados confirmed. His work created the stable reality that later arrivals would inhabit. In many ways, he established the fundamental laws that govern your world's unique relationship with energy. They reached a small bridge spanning a stream where morning mist still clung to the surface. Below, koi fish swam in lazy circles, orange and white scales flashing in sunlight that penetrated the shallow depths. The sage lived here for centuries, Vados continued, eventually establishing what he called the Celestial Sanctuary, a temple complex where he documented his discoveries and trained disciples in understanding the harmony between different energy systems. What happened to this sanctuary? Naruto asked, leaning against the bridge's railing. Unknown. Historical records suggest it was sealed or hidden when the sage recognized his life was ending. He foresaw that premature dissemination of certain knowledge could destabilize the young civilization developing here. Naruto stared into the flowing water, watching patterns form and dissolve. And when he died, he was supposed to reincarnate in Universe 7, but ended up as me instead. Precisely. Vados tapped her staff against the wooden bridge, creating ripples in reality that momentarily revealed the stream's constituent particles. Reincarnation typically follows dimensional boundaries. His soul should have remained within Universe 7's cycle, but the unique properties of Th's pocket dimension, existing between universes, created an anomaly. But why me specifically? An excellent question. Vados turned to face him directly. Reincarnation seeks compatible vessels, individuals with capacity to carry forward essential aspects from previous existences. Your Uzumaki lineage provided exceptional life force, while your status as Jinchuriki created unique energetic conditions. Additionally, she paused, studying him with penetrating intensity. Additionally, Naruto prompted, your fundamental nature aligned with the sage's most essential quality. Both of you possess an unyielding determination to protect what you value, regardless of conventional limitations. Something in her tone suggested this observation carried personal significance beyond mere analysis. Before Naruto could pursue this, a messenger hawk circled overhead, releasing a small scroll that spiraled down between them. Naruto caught it deftly, scanning its contents. Kakashi-sensei has called a council meeting regarding dimensional security protocols. We're both requested to attend. Anticipated, Vados remarked. Your leaders have shown admirable adaptability in assimilating multiversal concepts. But practical implementation requires specialist knowledge. Naruto rolled his shoulders, unconsciously adjusting to the denser muscle mass that continued developing. Politics isn't really my specialty. Nevertheless, your presence is essential, Vados replied. As the reincarnation of the first Saiyan sage, you represent the bridge between worlds. Your understanding, however incomplete, provides context civilian authorities cannot possess. When you put it that way, Naruto sighed, then nodded with determination. Let's not keep them waiting. The council chamber hummed with tense conversation that fell to expectant silence when Naruto entered with Vados. Around the circular table sat Konoha's leadership, Kakashi as Hokage, Shikamaru representing intelligence, Tsunade unofficially advising her successor, representatives from Anbu, medical, and civilian sectors, and unexpectedly, Sasuke Uchiha, recently returned from his redemption journey. Naruto's met Sasuke's across the chamber, a momentary exchange conveying months of unspoken history. The last Uchiha nodded almost imperceptibly, acknowledgement rather than greeting. Thank you for joining us, Kakashi began once they were seated. We've been reviewing the preliminary protocols for dimensional incursions based on data from the rifts 3 weeks ago. Shikamaru activated a projection jutsu displaying a 3-dimensional map of Konoha with markers indicating previous rift locations. We've established early detection systems using sensor-type shinobi stationed at 30-kilometer intervals around the village perimeter. However, our response capabilities remain limited without better understanding of interdimensional mechanics. A prudent beginning, Vados acknowledged, examining the projection. However, conventional detection methods will provide minimal warning. Dimensional rifts manifest fully formed. There is no gradual development phase accessible to normal sensory techniques. Then what do you recommend? Tsunade asked directly. Implementation of frequency resonance monitors. Vados tapped her staff, modifying the projection to display wave patterns. Dimensiona. L barriers vibrate at specific frequencies. Destabilization creates harmonic disruptions detectable before visible manifestation. Can we create such monitors with our technology? The civilian representative questioned skeptically. I've provided specifications to your research division, Vados replied. Adaptation of existing chakra sensing arrays should prove sufficient with modifications. Naruto observed the technical discussion, noting how readily Konoha's leadership had accepted the reality of other dimensions and universes. Crisis had a way of expanding possibilities previously dismissed as impossible. What of the creatures that emerged? Sasuke interjected, speaking for the first time. These, dimensional parasites, are there other entities that might exploit weakened barriers? Numerous varieties, Vados confirmed. Dimensional parasites represent merely one category of beings that inhabit the spaces between realities. Some are mindless consumers, others possess intelligence and purpose. Which brings us to defensive measures, Kakashi continued. Conventional techniques proved largely ineffective against the parasite Naruto encountered. We need viable countermeasures accessible to our forces. All eyes turned to Naruto, who straightened under their collective gaze. I've been working on adapting certain techniques to incorporate key elements that affect dimensional entities. It's still experimental, but promising. Could you teach these methods to others? The Anbu representative inquired. Naruto exchanged glances with Vados before answering. Theoretically, yes, but accessing ki isn't the same as chakra manipulation. It requires different sensibilities. Most individuals in your dimension possess dormant ki capacity, Vados elaborated. However, activating this potential traditionally requires specialized training from early development. Your evolutionary path has prioritized chakra systems instead. Tsunade leaned forward, medical interest peaked. But hybrid techniques might be possible, incorporating elements of both energy systems. That's what I'm working toward, Naruto confirmed. Using chakra as a framework to channel ki-like properties. It's not perfect, but it's more accessible than pure ki manipulation. Shikamaru's shrewd mind immediately grasped implications. We should establish a specialized response unit, Shin. Obi with aptitude for this hybrid approach, trained specifically for dimensional threats. I volunteer to lead this initiative, Sasuke stated unexpectedly. When surprised glances turned his way, he continued with characteristic directness. My Rinnegan provides insight into dimensional mechanics that complements Naruto's developing abilities. That makes sense, Naruto agreed, momentarily surprised by his former rival's cooperation. Between your visual prowess and my energy experiments, we could develop effective countermeasures faster. Kakashi nodded approvingly. Then it's settled. Asuke will coordinate with you on forming this specialized unit while broader defensive preparations continue. The meeting progressed through additional security protocols and contingency plans. Throughout, Naruto found himself contributing insights that seemed to emerge from somewhere beyond his conscious knowledge, analytical perspectives and technical terminology that felt simultaneously foreign and familiar. As the council adjourned, Sasuke approached, dark eyes studying Naruto with penetrating intensity. You've changed, he observed without preamble. Not just physically. Naruto grinned, scratching the back of his head in a gesture that remained unchanged despite everything else. Yeah, well, finding out you're the reincarnation of an ancient alien sage will do that to a person. The familiar noncommittal sound carried subtle humor. I leave for 6 months, and you manage to connect with entirely new dimensions. Always overachieving. Speaking of overachieving, when did you decide to volunteer for village service? Naruto countered good-naturedly. Something approximating a smile touched Sasuke's typically impassive features. Dimensional threats seem appropriately challenging. Besides, someone needs to keep you from accidentally destroying reality with your experiments. Before Naruto could retort, Vados approached them, staff tapping rhythmically against marble flooring. If you've concluded diplomacy, Naruto, we should resume your training. Today's council meeting delayed our scheduled transformation practice. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Transformation. Saiyan physiology includes several transformative states that multiply power exponentially, Vados explained with clinical precision. Naruto's hybrid nature makes these transformations both possible and unpredictable. Sounds interesting, Sasuke remarked, competitive spark kindling in his eyes. Mind if I observe? Understanding these capabilities would benefit our joint training program. Vados considered this briefly. Your visual abilities might provide useful analytical perspective. She turned to Naruto. Acceptable. Sure. Naruto agreed readily. Training Ground 3 Shoal. D. Give us enough space without risking collateral damage. As they departed the council chamber, none noticed the subtle ripple in reality that momentarily distorted air molecules near the ceiling. A microscopic instability that vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Training Ground 3 bore lingering evidence of Naruto's recent practice, circular depressions where energy manifestations had compressed Earth. Scorched patches of grass from key experiments gone awry. The 3 training posts where Team 7 had first proven themselves genuine remained standing, witnesses to yet another evolution in Naruto's journey. We'll begin with the fundamental Saiyan transformation, Vados instructed as they reached the center of the clearing. What Saiyans call Super Saiyan, a state that Dramatica LLY increases power output by channeling ki through specific biological triggers. Sasuke positioned himself at the clearing's edge, Sharingan activated to observe energy flows. What triggers this transformation? Traditionally, intense emotional catalysts, particularly anger or desperation, Vados explained. The transformation originated as a survival mechanism activated under extreme duress. Naruto frowned. So I need to get angry. That doesn't sound like a reliable technique. A valid observation, Vados acknowledged. The original transformation required emotional triggers, but Teared states can be accessed through focused will alone. However, your first transformation will likely require emotional intensity to breach the activation threshold. Like the initial tailed beast transformations, Sasuke noted with analytical precision. Emotional extremes provided access until conscious control was established. Naruto nodded, recalling his early, chaotic experiences with Kurama's power. So how do we trigger this safely? Controlled combat simulation, Vados decided, stepping back. I will create an energy construct for you to battle, powerful enough to push your limits without causing permanent harm. She traced elegant patterns with her staff, energy swirling into humanoid form. The construct solidified into a featureless opponent approximately Naruto's height, composed entirely of pale blue energy. This construct will match your current power level and adapt as you escalate, Vados explained. Its sole purpose is pushing you toward transformation threshold. Naruto rolled his shoulders, settling into a fighting stance that blended shinobi readiness with subtle influences from his awakening Saiyan instincts. What should I expect when transformation begins? Heat along your spine, pressure behind your eyes, and heightened sensory perception, Vados listed clinically. The most distinctive sign is hair color change, typically to golden blonde, How your already blonde hair might manifest differently. Let's find out, Naruto stated, determination hardening his features. The energy construct attacked without warning, moving with fluid grace that belied its artificial nature. Naruto dodged the initial strike, counter-attacking with a combination of taijutsu and chakra enhancement. His opponent matched him perfectly, adapting to his THM and anticipating movements with uncanny precision. Your physical capabilities have already increased significantly, Vados observed from the sideline. Even without transformation, your baseline attributes now exceed normal human parameters. Naruto disengaged briefly, assessing his opponent. It's matching everything I do. How am I supposed to exceed my limits against something that just scales to match me? By accessing power you don't yet consciously control, Vados replied. The construct matches your active output, not your potential maximum. Understanding the challenge, Naruto intensified his assault, incorporating shadow clones and Rasengan variations. The construct countered each technique effectively, pushing him to escalate further. Six Paths Sage mode activated naturally as the battle progressed. Golden chakra flaring around him. Interesting, Sasuke commented, Sharingan tracking complex energy patterns. His chakra is changing quality, becoming denser, more concentrated. Vados nodded. Six Paths chakra bears certain similarities to godly ki. It provides a potential bridge between energy systems. The construct suddenly multiplied its attack speed, landing a punishing blow to Naruto's midsection that sent him skidding backward. Rather than pain, Naruto felt an unexpected surge of exhilaration, a primal satisfaction in facing a worthy challenge that resonated with something deep within his transforming biology. Your Saiyan instincts are awakening, Kurama observed within their shared consciousness. They respond differently to battle than human physiology. I feel it, Naruto acknowledged internally. It's like hunger almost. He re-engaged with renewed intensity, each exchange increasing in power and speed. The construct responded proportionally, forcing Naruto to push beyond established limits. Sweat beaded on his brow as muscles strained with effort, yet something prevented him from reaching the transformation threshold. After 30 minutes of escalating combat, Vados raised her hand, dissolving the construct. Sufficient for initial assessment. Naruto bent forward, hands braced against knees as he caught his breath. What's the verdict? Why couldn't I transform? Your control is too refined, Vados diagnosed, approaching with analytical gaze. Years of precisely managing enormous chakra reserves have conditioned you to maintain perfect regulation even under duress. Transformation requires momentarily exceeding those mental limiters. So I'm too disciplined? Naruto asked incredulously. That's not something anyone's accused me of before. A ghost of amusement touched Vados's expression. Specifically, your energy control has developed sophisticated restraint mechanisms. Transformation requires breaking through those restraints. Sasuke approached, Sharingan deactivated as he processed observations. It's similar to the 8 gates technique. The body naturally limits output to prevent self-damage, requiring specific methods to override those limitations. An apt comparison, Vados agreed. Though Saiyan biology is designed to accommodate these power surges without the self-destructive aspects of your 8 gates. Naruto straightened, frustration evident. So how do I break through? Vados considered momentarily before responding. Perhaps a different approach. Instead of combat simulation, we should. Her analysis was interrupted by a sudden atmospheric disturbance, air molecules shimmering above the training ground as space itself seemed to fold inward. All three immediately shifted to defensive postures as reality distorted in a pattern Naruto recognized from previous dimensional incursions. Another rift, he questioned, golden chakra flaring protectively. No, Vados responded, rare surprise coloring her tone. This is intentional transportation. Someone is crossing dimensions deliberately. The distortion coalesced into a swirling portal approximately 2 meters in diameter. From its depths emerged a slender feminine figure who landed in a perfectly balanced crouch. As the portal closed behind her, she straightened, revealing a young woman with spiky black hair, confident posture, and distinctly non-human features that nonetheless appeared more similar to Naruto than to Vados. She wore loose-fitting clothes designed for combat mobility, a pink top exposing her midriff, purple pants secured with a red sash, and gold armbands that caught sunlight as she surveyed her surroundings with critical assessment. So this is the famous pocket dimension, she remarked, voice carrying natural authority despite her apparent youth. Doesn't look that special to me. Vados sighed with the particular weariness of someone whose responsibilities had just complicated significantly. Lord Champa authorized your crossing, I presume. The newcomer smirked, placing hands on hips in a posture of casual defiance. He might have mentioned something about it being a terrible idea, but he was too busy with his 4th lunch to stop me. Her sharp eyes fixed on Naruto, studying him with undisguised curiosity tinged with skepticism. So you're the big reincarnation everyone's talking about. The legendary first Saiyan sage reborn. She snorted dismissively. You don't look like much. Naruto blinked, momentarily taken aback by the direct challenge. And you are Caulifla, she announced proudly. Strongest Saiyan of Universe 6. I heard some impressive rumors about power levels in this dimension and decided to see for myself. You crossed dimensions, for a fight? Sasuke inquired, tone somewhere between incredulous and grudgingly respectful. Caulifla turned toward him, assessing briefly before dismissing him as secondary to her interest. Not just any fight. I want to test myself against this supposed reincarnation. She returned her attention to Naruto, challenge evident in her stance. If you've got the sage's power, prove it. Vados interposed herself between them with subtle but unmistakable authority. Caulifla, your impulsiveness continues to exceed your judgment. Dimensional crossing requires authorization precisely to prevent diplomatic incidents. Relax, Caulifla replied, waving dismissively. I'm not here to cause trouble. Just a friendly match to see what this guy's made of. Her casual disregard for protocol reminded Naruto uncomfortably of his younger self. I'm still learning to control these powers, he explained diplomatically. A serious match might not be the best idea right now. Caulifla's eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you saying you're afraid to fight me? No, I'm saying, because it sounds like you're making excuses, she interrupted, energy beginning to radiate from her form, similar to Ki-B. With distinctive qualities Naruto recognized as Saiyan specific. If you're really the Sage Reborn, a little spar shouldn't be any problem. Naruto felt something unexpected stir within him, a response to her challenge that bypassed rational thought and resonated directly with his awakening Saiyan instincts. An almost magnetic pull toward proving himself against this cocky challenger. Naruto, Sasuke cautioned, recognizing dangerous territory, don't let her provoke you. But Caulifla had already advanced, stopping mere feet from Naruto. Unless all that talk about the legendary reincarnation is just that, talk. Something inside Naruto snapped. Not anger exactly, but a primal need to answer challenge with demonstration. Fine, he heard himself say. One spar, just to show you I'm not making excuses. Vados stepped back with resigned acceptance. Perhaps this development has fortuitous aspects, she mused. Confrontation with a true Saiyan might provide the catalyst your transformation requires. Caulifla grinned predatorily, excitement lighting her features. Now we're talking. Don't hold back on me, Sage Boy. They moved to the center of the training ground, establishing distance between them. Sasuke repositioned beside Vados, Sharingan reactivated to analyze the impending confrontation. Is she really a Saiyan? He asked quietly. Vados nodded. One of Universe 6's most promising young warriors. Impulsive and undisciplined, but exceptionally talented with natural aptitude for transformation techniques. Will she hurt him? A subtle smile touched Vados's lips. The more pertinent question might be whether he will hurt her. Caulifla underestimates what she's challenging. In the clearing's center, Naruto and Caulifla faced each other, energy signatures CR. Eating visible distortions in surrounding air. The female Saiyan dropped into a fighting stance unfamiliar to Naruto, yet somehow recognizable to his body. Simple rules, Caulifla announced. No killing, obviously. Fight ends when someone can't continue or gives up. Her grin widened challengingly. Or when I get bored with how pathetic you are. Naruto mirrored her stance unconsciously, body responding to instincts older than his conscious mind. Don't worry about me. Worry about explaining to your god of destruction why you got beaten in another universe. Caulifla laughed, a genuine sound of delight rather than mockery. There it is, some actual Saiyan spirit. Maybe there's hope for you after all. Without further preamble, she attacked, a direct frontal assault at speed that would have overwhelmed most shonen instantly. Naruto reacted on instinct, blocking her initial strike and countering with a palm thrust that she evaded with practiced ease. The exchange set the pattern for Hat followed, a rapidly escalating series of attacks and counters that quickly exceeded normal human capabilities. Caulifla fought with a style simultaneously wild and precise, each movement flowing naturally into the next without wasted motion. Not bad basics, she commented during a momentary disengagement. But when are you going to show me something interesting? In response, Naruto formed a shadow clone seal, creating 20 duplicates that surrounded Caulifla. She raised an eyebrow, genuinely impressed. Energy duplication. That's a new one, she acknowledged before her expression hardened with determination. But quantity isn't quality. Her aura flared brilliantly as she unleashed a spinning kick that dispelled 5 clones simultaneously. The remaining clones attacked in coordinated patterns, each armed with Rasengan variations. Caulifla countered with impressive adaptability, analyzing and neutralizing their teamwork with growing excitement. This is actually fun, she called out, dispelling the last clone and focusing on the real Naruto. But I know you're holding back the good stuff. From the sidelines, Sasuke observed with analytical precision. She's exceptional. Her combat instincts are comparable to elite Jonin despite clearly different training backgrounds. Saiyans are born warriors, Vados explained. Combat proficiency develops naturally in their physiology from earliest childhood. Caulifla stands among the most talented of her generation. On the battlefield, Naruto felt himself responding to Caulifla's challenge on multiple levels, tactically adjusting to her unpredictable style while something deeper resonated with her Saiyan energy signature. Each exchange felt simultaneously like combat and conversation, their bodies communicating through action in a language his awakening Saiyan instincts understood implicitly. Enough warming up, Caulifla declared, leaping backward to create distance. Let's kick this up a notch. She planted her feet firmly, muscles tensing as her aura intensified dramatically. With a fierce cry, power exploded around her, wind whipping outward as her black hair transformed to brilliant gold, standing upright with new rigidity. Her eyes shifted to teal, power radiating from her transformed state. Super Saiyan, she announced proudly, golden aura flickering like flames around her form. Think you can handle it, sage boy? Naruto stared in fascination at the physical manifestation of what Vados had described earlier. The transformation radiated power unlike anything in his experience, raw, unfiltered, and primal in its expression. Impressive, he acknowledged genuinely. Let me show you what I've got in return. Golden chakra enveloped him as Six Paths Sage mode activated, his most powerful form short of Kurama's full manifestation. Truth-seeking orbs materialized behind him, hovering in geometric formation as he prepared to match her escalation. Caulifla studied his transformation with evident interest. Fancy light show, but is there substance behind it? Their renewed clash answered her question emphatically. Six Paths enhanced speed allowed Naruto to match her Super Saiyan velocity, while truth-seeking orbs provided offensive and defensive capabilities that forced Caulifla to adapt rapidly. Now we're talking, she exclaimed after narrowly evading a truth-seeking projectile that pulverized a boulder behind her. This is actually worth crossing dimensions for. Their battle intensified further, Caulifla's raw power and fighting instinct against Naruto's tactical adaptability and diverse techniques. Trees uprooted from shockwaves as their exchanges created localized weather disturbances, clouds forming and dispersing with pressure changes from particularly powerful clashes. From the sidelines, Sasuke and Vados maintained a barrier jutsu protecting the rest of Konoha from collateral effects. He's still not transforming, Sasuke observed after a particularly explosive exchange. Caulifla hasn't pushed him far enough yet, Vados replied. Despite appearances, they're both restraining their maximum output. On cue, Caulifla disengaged, breathing heavily but eyes bright with excitement. You're better than I expected, she admitted. But still holding back. Stop treating me like I might break. I could say the same to you, Naruto countered, recognizing the measured quality in her attacks despite their impressive power. That can't be everything a Super Saiyan can do. Something like respect flickered across Caulifla's features. Perceptive. Her expression hardened with determination. Fine, let's see how you handle this. Her already golden aura intensified dramatically, lightning-like energy crackling around her form as her muscle definition became more pronounced. Super Saiyan 2, she announced, the electrical discharge from her aura scorching the ground around her feet. Her speed doubled instantly as she vanished from normal perception, reappearing within Naruto's guard with a punch that broke through his truth-seeking shield. The impact sent him flying backward, crashing through 3 trees before regaining control. Pain blossomed across his torso. Yet the Saiyan part of him registered it almost pleasurably, a worthy challenge demanding appropriate response. Something primal stirred in his blood, resonating with Caulifla's display of power. Your body is responding to her challenge, Kurama observed within their shared consciousness. The Saiyan instinct to grow stronger when confronted by superior power, it's activating. Naruto felt it, heat building along his spine, pressure behind his eyes as dormant genetics awakened further. Yet the transformation remained tantalizingly beyond reach, blocked by some final threshold he couldn't identify. Caulifla didn't wait for him to sort through these sensations, pressing her advantage with ruthless efficiency. Each strike carried force that would have shattered normal human bones instantly. Only Six Paths enhanced durability allowed Naruto to withstand the assault as he struggled to counter her overwhelming speed. Is this all the legendary sage reincarnation can manage? Caulifla taunted between lightning-fast combinations. I expected something special, not just fancy defensive techniques. Her words struck deeper than her fists, resonating with pride he hadn't known existed within him. Not his familiar determination to prove himself to Konoha, but something older, a warrior's pride that refused to yield before challenge. Heat flared along his spine, as power built within cellular structures reconfiguring themselves for transformation. Yet still some barrier prevented completion, a final threshold unbreached. Caulifla sensed his struggle, frustration evident in her expression. "Stop holding back," she demanded, gathering energy between her palms. "Show me what you're really capable of." The crimson sphere between her hands expanded rapidly. "Crush cannon," she called out, unleashing a devastating beam directly toward him. Naruto crossed his arms defensively, six paths chakra forming protective layers as the attack engulfed him completely. Pain lanced through every nerve ending as the energy threatened to overwhelm his defenses. Within that moment of crisis, time seemed to slow. In his mindscape, fragments of memory, not his own cries, totalized into coherent sequence, the original sage facing his first life or death battle, discovering transformation not through rage but through absolute necessity to protect what mattered. Understand. Ding blazed through confusion, the missing catalyst revealed. "It's not anger," Naruto whispered, revelation cutting through chaos. "It's purpose." As Caulifla's attack began overwhelming his defenses, Naruto focused not on matching her power but on why his power existed at all. The determination to protect, to understand, to connect worlds that had defined both his life and the sages before him. Something broke free within him, not with violent rupture but with the inevitability of dam waters finally finding their natural course. Heat seared through his body as cellular structures reconfigured, power previously compartmentalized flowing freely through transformed pathways. The defensive shield around him shattered, not from failure but from inside pressure as new energy exploded outward, dispersing Caulifla's attack completely. Golden light enveloped his form, different from six paths chakra in fundamental quality, rawer, more primal in its expression. His hair shifted, spikes becoming more pronounced and taking on golden highlights that merged with natural blonde. His eyes, already containing teal flecks, shifted fully to that color as muscle mass increased slightly without sacrificing speed. When the transformation completed, Naruto stood transformed, not in Super Saiyan's traditional manifestation, but a hybrid form reflecting his unique heritage. Golden blonde hair with luminous quality, teal eyes retaining their determination, and an aura that blended chakras structured flow with Ki's primal intensity. Caulifla stared in fascination. "Well, that's different," she remarked, momentarily lowering her guard. "Not quite Super Saiyan, but definitely not normal either." Naruto examined his transformed state with wonder, feeling power flowing through pathways both familiar and novel. Every sense heightened beyond previous limits while time itself seemed to flow differently, individual moments expanding to accommodate enhanced perception. Saiyan Sage Transformation, he named it instinctively. Knowledge surfacing from genetic memory. The harmonization of dual heritage. Vados observed with unprecedented interest. "Fascinating. He's created an entirely new transformative state that bridges Saiyan biology with six paths energy structures. Is it stable?" Sasuke questioned, Sharingan recording every detail. "Remarkably so," Vados confirmed. "The first Ge theorized such hybridization but never achieved it personally." On the battlefield, Caulifla recovered from surprise, excitement brightening her features. "Whatever you call it, let's see what it can do." She renewed her assault with Super Saiyan 2's impressive speed, but Naruto's perception had expanded to match. Where previously her movements had blurred beyond tracking, now he perceived each muscle contraction. Every shift in balance telegraphing intentions before execution. Their exchange elevated to new heights. Caulifla's experience with Saiyan transformations against Naruto's innovative application of combined energy systems. Trees disintegrated from proximity to their clashes while the sky above darkened with energy-induced pressure changes. "Now this is what I crossed dimensions for," Caulifla exclaimed during momentary disengagement, blood trickling from a split lip while her eyes shone with battle joy. A real challenge. Naruto matched her enthusiasm, discovering unexpected pleasure in testing his transformed capabilities. Each exchange revealed new aspects of his hybrid state, increased strength without sacrificing speed, heightened sensory perception, and instant-seative combat awareness flowing from genetic memory. Their battle might have continued indefinitely had reality itself not interrupted. Mid-exchange, both combatants froze as unmistakable sensation shed over the training ground. Dimensional frequency distortions too pronounced to ignore. You feel that? Naruto asked, transformation still active as he scanned surroundings. Caulifla nodded. Soup. Our Saiyan 2 aura flickering with battle readiness. Yeah, feels like when I crossed over, but wronger somehow. Vados and Sasuke joined them immediately, all previous tensions subordinated to new threat assessment. Multiple dimensional incursions, Vados confirmed, staff glowing as she analyzed disturbance patterns. 7 distinct rifts forming simultaneously throughout Konoha. The parasites? Naruto questioned. Most likely. Vados affirmed. Your transformation released significant energy signatures across dimensional boundaries. It appears to have attracted attention. Caulifla's expression shifted from battle excitement to serious determination. Well, they picked the wrong time to show up. I'm all warmed up and ready for some real targets. Naruto met Sasuke's evaluating gaze. Looks like our specialized response unit gets field testing sooner than expected. Sasuke nodded, activating Rinnegan. I'll coordinate with available Jonin. You three handle the primary incursion points. As dimensional distortions intensified across Konoha, alarm systems activated throughout the village. Civilians moved toward designated shelters while shinobi mobilized with practiced efficiency born from years of crisis response. Caulifla, Vados addressed her impulsive charge. This situation partially resulted from your unauthorized crossing. I expect your full cooperation in resolution. The young Saiyan had the grace to look momentarily chagrined before determination reasserted itself. Yeah, I'll help clean up. Besides, she glanced at Naruto with competitive fire. I want to see what else this hybrid transformation can do. Naruto maintained his transformed state, feeling unprecedented clarity as two previously separate aspects of himself aligned in perfect harmony. Whatever emerged from the dimensional rifts would face not just the hero of Konoha, but the awakened legacy of the first Saiyan sage. Let's move, he ordered with natural authority. We'll handle this together. Konoha's main avenue had transformed from bustling commercial center to evacuation corridor, civilians streaming toward underground shelters as dimensional distortions warped reality above them. A massive rift had formed directly over the central plaza, twice the size of previous incursions and pulsing with ominous frequency. Naruto arrived first, Saiyan enhanced speed, allowing transit across the village in seconds. Caulifla appeared moments later, followed by Vados who materialized with characteristic grace. That's bigger than the scout I encountered, Naruto observed, studying the undulating tier. Much bigger. A hunter variant, Vados identified, analyzing energy patterns with her staff. The initial parasite likely transmitted information about your unique energy signature. This one has been specifically attracted to hybrid power resonance. The rift expanded suddenly, reality folding outward as massive appendages emerged, crystalline structures rounded by writhing tendrils that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The parasite that pulled itself into Konoha dwarfed its predecessor, its central mass alone larger than a 2-story building. Now that's more like it, Caulifla exclaimed, Super Saiyan 2 aura intensifying with anticipation. Finally, something worth hitting. Multiple crystalline eyes formed across the parasite's surface, focusing immediately on Naruto's transformed state. It emitted a subsonic pulse that shattered windows throughout the plaza and disoriented several shinobi establishing perimeter containment. It's scanning your energy signature, Vados explained as the creature oriented itself fully. Dimensional parasites feed on exotic energy patterns. Your hybrid transformation presents an extremely attractive target. The parasite attacked without warning, dozens of tentacles lashing forward with surprising coordination for something so alien. Naruto and Caulifla dodged in opposite directions, while Vados simply shifted space around herself, tentacles passing through empty air where she had stood microseconds earlier. Direct physical attacks proved ineffective last time, Naruto called out, forming familiar cross-shaped seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 20 transformed duplicates materialized, each radiating the same hybrid energy as the original. The parasite reacted immediately, dividing its attention between multiple identical targets. Nice distraction, Caulifla approved, gathering energy between her palms. Let me try something on those crystals. Crush Cannon. The crimson beam struck one of the larger crystalline structures, creating spiderweb fractures across its surface but failing to penetrate completely. The parasite recoiled momentarily before adapting, outer layer, shifting to absorb similar energy frequencies. It's evolving defensive countermeasures, Vados warned. Each attack provides data for adaptation. Naruto processed this tactically, clones simultaneously engaging tentacles to prevent civilian casualties while he assessed weaknesses. The hybrid transformation enhanced his analytical capabilities along with physical attributes, allowing pattern recognition beyond normal perception. The crystals aren't its weak point, he realized, tracking energy movements through the creature's structure. They're focusing lenses for its dimensional phasing. The core consciousness is housed within the central mass, protected by layered dimensional barriers. So how do we hit something existing in multiple dimensions? Caulifla demanded, dodging acidity. See projectiles launched from secondary appendages. The same way I defeated the scout, Naruto answered, focusing hybrid energy into his palm. By creating an attack that exists in multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. Rasengan formed above his hand. Not the standard version, but modified by his transformed state. The swirling sphere contained layers of energy rotating at different velocities, each corresponding to specific dimensional frequency. Multi-dimensional Rasengan, he named it, the technique crystallizing from theoretical possibility to functional reality as he spoke. But I need direct access to its core. Leave that to me, Caulifla volunteered with characteristic confidence. I'll make you an opening. Before Naruto could suggest coordination, she charged directly toward the parasite's central mass. Tentacles converged on her position, but Super Saiyan 2 speed allowed her to weave between them with acrobatic precision. Reaching the main body, she gathered energy into both hands. Eat this. Final crash. Twin energy beams erupted from her palms, carving temporary cavity into the parasite's mass. There's your opening. Make it count. Naruto didn't waste the opportunity. Launching forward with transformed speed while maintaining the complex Rasengan variation. Shadow clones provided interference, sacrificing themselves to block tentacles attempting to intercept his charge. Reaching the cavity Caulifla had created, Naruto thrust the multi-dimensional Rasengan directly into the exposed interior. Now, the technique detonated not with conventional explosive force but with dimensional disruption that propagated through the parasite's entire structure. Reality itself seemed to shudder as energy that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensional frequencies tore through barriers protecting the creature's core consciousness. A subsonic shriek emanated from the parasite as its physical form began collapsing inward, not destroyed but forcibly consolidated into singular dimensional expression where it could no longer maintain cohesion. The process accelerated exponentially until the massive entity imploded entirely, leaving nothing but rapidly dissipating energy particles. Naruto landed beside Caulifla, both breathing heavily from exertion. That was actually impressive, she acknowledged with genuine respect. Never seen anything like that technique before. It was instinctive, Naruto admitted, surprised by his own creation. Like the knowledge was there waiting to be accessed. Vados approached, studying the dissipating energy with analytical precision. You accessed one of the first sage's signature techniques, adapting it for Rasengan application rather than its original form. His memories continue integrating with your combat instincts. Before further discussion could occur, Sasuke appeared via teleportation, expression grim. We've contained 4 smaller incursions, but 2 large parasites have merged near the hospital district. Their combined form is proving resistant to conventional countermeasures. We need to finish this quickly, Naruto decided, transformation still active though requiring increasing concentration to maintain. Multiple large-scale dimensional battles could further destabilize local reality. Agreed, Vados confirmed. These incursions appear coordinated rather than opportunistic, suggesting intelligence directing the parasite's activities. Caulifla cracked her knuckles enthusiastically. So we smash the big ones, then find whatever's controlling them and smash that too. Simple enough. Sasuke regarded her with measured assessment. Your direct approach has merit in this situation. Combined assault from multiple energy types might overwhelm adaptive defenses. See, even the gloomy one gets it. Caulifla grinned approvingly at Sasuke, who responded with characteristically minimal acknowledgement. Let's move, Naruto directed, renewed determination steadying his transformation. Together. The hospital district presented apocalyptic tableau when they arrived. Medical staff evacuating patients while Jonan maintained protective barriers around critical infrastructure. Above the main hospital building hovered an abomination that defied conventional description. Two parasites fused into chimeric entity that rippled with dimensional instability. The chi doesn't look natural even for dimensional parasites, Naruto observed, assessing the merged creature's erratic energy patterns. Artificial fusion, Vados confirmed, staff scanning distortion frequencies. Something is forcing compatibility between separate entities. The merged parasite noticed their arrival immediately, dozens of crystalline eyes forming across its undulating surface. Unlike previous encounters, it didn't attack immediately, instead emitting complex energy patterns that modified surrounding dimensional stability. It's changing local physics, Vados warned sharply. Establishing dimensional properties favorable to its structure while inhibiting our abilities. Gravity fluctuated unpredictably as air molecules became selectively permeable to different energy signatures. Naruto felt his transformation destabilize slightly, connection between chakra and ki fluctuating under external interference. Caulifla grimaced as her Super Saiyan aura wavered momentarily. It's trying to suppress our transformations. Precisely, Vados confirmed. This entity possesses significantly greater intelligence than previous specimens, suggesting external control. Sasuke activated Susanoo, purple energy construct forming protective shell around him. My Rinnegan perceives something within its core, a controlling mechanism that doesn't match the parasite's natural structure. Someone's weaponizing them, Naruto realized grimly. This isn't random dimensional predation, it's deliberate attack. The parasite chose that moment to strike, not with physical tentacles but with dimensional manipulation itself. Space compressed around them, simultaneously pushing and pulling as reality stuttered between conflicting properties. Vados countered immediately, staff creating street abilization field that protected their immediate vicinity. This level of dimensional manipulation exceeds normal parasite capabilities, she noted with unusual concern. We must neutralize it quickly before reality fractures permanently. I need direct access to whatever's controlling it, Sasuke stated, Rinnegan focusing on the parasite's core. My visual prowess can disrupt the connection, Bu. Chi range is limited by dimensional interference. Naruto and Caulifla exchanged glances, unspoken strategy forming between warriors with complementary capabilities. We'll create your opening, Naruto assured. Hybrid transformation stabilizing as he adapted to fluctuating conditions. Caulifla, combination assault on opposing vectors. She nodded with fierce grin. I'll take high approach, you go low. Hit it from both sides simultaneously. Perfect, Naruto agreed, shadow clones forming without seals, his transformed state enhancing even this familiar technique with greater power and independence. On my mark, now, they launched in perfect synchronization, Caulifla rocketing skyward while Naruto charged along the ground. The parasite divided its attention, tentacles and dimensional distortions targeting both approaches simultaneously. Caulifla's hands moved in rapid sequence, gathering crackling energy. Super Saiyan Symphony, she called out, unleashing barrage of energy projectiles that detonated against the parasite's upper surface in harmonic sequence, each explosion amplifying the next in cascading pattern. Below, Naruto's clones formed massive Rasenshuriken infused with hybrid energy. Wind style. Dimensional severing shuriken. The massive projectile expanded as it traveled, cutting through defensive tentacles and dimensional barriers with equal effectiveness. Caught between coordinated assault, the parasite's defensive capabilities momentarily overloaded, precisely as planned. Sasuke exploited the momentary vulnerability, Susanoo's arrow launching directly to ward the exposed control mechanism within its core. Amenetejikara, he intoned, space shifting around the arrow to bypass remaining defenses. The projectile struck with unerring precision, purple energy disrupting the alien device embedded within the parasite's central mass. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The merged entity convulsed violently, dimensional manipulation collapsing as controlling intelligence severed. Without coordinating influence, the parasites began separating, their forced fusion unraveling. Now, Vados called out. While they're destabilized, Naruto and Caulifla needed no further prompting. Their complementary attacks converged simultaneously, multi-dimensional Rasengan from below meeting concentrated Crush Cannon from above. The combined assault tore through creatures lacking coordinated defenses, disrupting their dimensional cohesion beyond recovery threshold. Twin implosions rocked the hospital district as both parasites collapsed into nothingness, leaving behind only a small metallic device that clattered to the rooftop below. Sasuke retrieved it cautiously, Rinnegan examining its construction. Sophisticated technology, unlike anything in our world. Vados studied it with uncharacteristic intensity. Nor does it match Universe 6 or 7 technological signatures. Most concerning, the immediate threat neutralized, Naruto's transformation begged, and fading, his inexperienced body unable to maintain the energy requirements indefinitely. As hybrid form reverted to normal, fatigue crashed through him with physical consequences of unprecedented exertion. Caulifla likewise powered down, though with practiced ease that spoke of extensive experience with Saiyan transformations. Not bad for your first transformation, she acknowledged, offering you unexpected support when Naruto swayed slightly. The stamina comes with practice. Reports indicate all parasites neutralized, Sasuke informed them, checking communications from perimeter teams. Ativer was coordinating them appears to have withdrawn when the control device was destroyed. Naruto nodded tiredly, processing implications. This wasn't random. Someone targeted Konoha specifically, maybe targeting me specifically. Most probable, Vados agreed, uncharacteristic concern evident in her tone. Your transformation likely registered across dimensional boundaries as unique energy signature, attractive not only to parasites but potentially to other entities with interest in First Sage's legacy. Caulifla crossed her arms, thoughtful despite her typically brash demeanor. So Song, E1 out there is monitoring dimensional boundaries and has technology to control these parasites. She grinned suddenly. Sounds like things are getting interesting around here. Interesting is one way to describe coordinated extradimensional attack, Sasuke noted dryly. Naruto straightened despite exhaustion, determination overriding physical limitations. Whatever's happening, we need answers. Vados, is there any way to trace where this control device originated? Potentially, she replied, examining the device without touching it. Lord Champa's palace contains equipment for dimensional frequency analysis. With proper examination, origin coordinates might be determinable. Then that's our next step, Naruto decided. We need to understand what we're facing. Caulifla's expression brightened. Does that mean you'll be visiting Universe 6? Because I've got about a dozen fighters who'd love to test themselves against the Sage Reincarnation now that you've awakened your transformation. Despite circumstances, Naruto found himself smiling at her unquenchable enthusiasm for battle. Let's focus on the interdimensional threat first, then we can discuss sparring matches. Fair enough, she conceded. But I'm calling dibs on rematch once this is handled. Our fight was just getting good when these parasites interrupted. Sasuke and Vados exchanged glances that somehow communicated shared exasperation across species and universal boundaries. I'll inform Kakashi about developments, Sasuke stated practically. We should analyze this device immediately and increase dimensional monitoring throughout the village. As they departed the battlefield, Naruto found himself walking alongside Caulifla, whose initial antagonism had evolved into something more complex, not quite friendship yet, but mutual respect between warriors who had faced common enemy. So, she began conversationally, that transformation of yours, it's different from standard Super Saiyan. More balanced somehow. Naruto nodded, still processing the experience himself. It feels like harmony between different aspects of myself. Not just power increase, but integration. Interesting, Caulifla mused, uncharacteristically thoughtful. Most Saiyans experience transformation as explosive power release. Your version seems more evolved somehow. The first sage apparently spent centuries developing philosophical approach to Saiyan abilities, Naruto explained, drawing on increasingly accessible memories. Treating transformation as enlightenment rather than just combat advantage. Caulifla considered this with surprising seriousness. Might be something to that approach. Most Universe 6 Saiyans focus exclusively on combat applications without exploring deeper potential. Their conversation continued as they made their way toward the Hokage Tower, two warriors from entirely different evolutionary paths finding unexpected common ground in shared experience. Behind them, Vados observed their interaction with analytical interest, making mental notes for her eventual report to authorities far beyond Konoha's comprehension. The first Saiyan sage's legacy was awakening more completely than anticipated, connections forming between worlds long separated. Whatever intelligence had orchestrated today's attack had inadvertently accelerated processes set in motion millennia earlier, processes whose ultimate conclusion remained unknown even to beings of Vados' cosmic perspective. Chapter 2 End. The End. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.